Be warned, if you watch this video and do everything that I talk about, your specific person is going to be obsessed and it might be more than you can handle. And don't worry, I'll explain it because you're probably thinking right now, well, Kyle, I would love for my specific person to be obsessed. But remember, you're going to get exactly what you ask for. They're going to be calling you nonstop, trying to meet up with you daily, basically blowing up your phone, and you're going to get absolutely zero free time. Again, if you practice this technique, and I'll give it to you and explain exactly why it's going to work. So we know we just have to assume the state. And a really easy way to assume the state, and again, I'll explain it, is to act as if your specific person can see you all the time. That is the only trick and technique you need to act out right now in order to make them obsessed. And I'll explain exactly why. Because a lot of the times we think that what we do in our spare time or when we're alone doesn't matter with our state of being. But keep in mind, you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. And your state of being is something that you are constantly doing. So what do you do when you're alone? If you think about affirming or imagining and thinking of the end, are you consistently doing this when no one else is watching? Also, what do you do when people are watching? Would you say that your actions, your thoughts, and your beliefs change as a result of that? And I would dare to say that this is true, that we act differently when we're alone as compared to when we are with a group. And it might actually be the opposite. You might actually act in accordance to the state when you're alone, but when you're in public, you might act as someone who is single. But either way, we want to align these efforts. We want to act as if our specific person is constantly and habitually watching us every single moment of the day, and you'll realize by doing this, all of your actions are going to be different. And I like to explain it with a simple metaphor. So imagine you are dieting. If you eat a donut and no one is around to see it, does that still count? Are you still going to experience the calories from that donut? And you're going to say absolutely yes. Just because no one saw it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter, because it matters to you and it matters to your body. The same thing is with your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Whenever you are acting in a certain way, whether or not anyone is able to see it or not, it's going to affect your state, your assumptions, your beliefs, and your way of thinking, which creates and changes your reality as it is. Because why would eating a donut behind the scenes affect you even if no one sees it? But then we think that our thoughts, when we act them behind the scenes, then we think for some reason that isn't going to affect us. And so that's what you need to do today and the next day and basically for the next week. And you will see massive changes in everything around you, because the problem with this, and why I warn, don't watch this, your specific person is going to be obsessed, is because one, we don't understand what obsession actually truly means and what it feels like. It's constant effort, constant talking. Imagine your specific person being upset with you because they cannot talk to you or see you or experience you 24/7. Imagine that reality. But at the same time, when you watch this video, you no longer have an excuse to not act in the state. If you assume that your specific person is constantly watching you and everything that you're doing, there's no possible way that you would act out of the state. Because if you acted out of the state, you would know that your specific person would see it, and thus it's not a possibility. And you can actually use this to manifest anything. Whoever you feel is like the dominating factor or person who has the last judgment on whatever you're going to manifest, pretend as if they are constantly watching you, and you'll find your entire reality begin to change. We can relate this back to the idea of dieting, because if you had a dietitian or a workout partner or a trainer, whatever, do you think if you acted as if they could constantly see you, you would make different choices behind the scenes? And you would say you absolutely would. Behind the scenes, with given the choice between the donut or the apple, you would of course choose the apple, because you would act and feel and assume as if your trainer or your dietitian was watching you right then and there. But the same thing is with our specific person. How could you complain about being single to anyone if your specific person was watching, right? What would be the point of that? Can you have any negative thoughts? Would you complain? Would you scream? Would you yell? Would you have any negative experiences if your specific person was literally right there next to you? And the answer is no, you absolutely wouldn't. And this change happens basically instantaneously, because it's going to put you into a state of being uncomfortable. And that's going to be the first thing you notice. And again, why I warn everyone from doing this, because it's going to give you no more excuses as to why you can't can't be with your specific person, because it'll put you into a state of being uncomfortable, because we actually want to seek out the uncomfortable, which might sound strange at first. But when you think of your state, what is comfortable to your state is going to be something that aligns with it. So everything you do that feels comfortable when being in a state of being single is just going to be something that reinforces the state. So if we want to get out of that and change our states and manifest and be the person that our specific person is obsessed with and sees it in our reality, the state of being single will find all of those actions very uncomfortable. But that's okay. It's not actually hard and you're not actually putting in effort. It's just the state or feeling that your previous state is transitioning into the new state, and thus it finds it very weird or uncomfortable. Think of someone who goes from a state of extreme poverty into a state of extreme wealth. So in the state of poverty, they might be constantly clipping coupons, looking for deals, literally trying to utilize every single thing possible. And then they move into a state of massive abundance or massive wealth. They don't need to do any of that anymore. And wouldn't it feel very weird not clipping coupons, not looking for the deals, right? Because you don't have to anymore. But it would feel very uncomfortable for that state. But just know this is all an illusion. When you are transitioning states, it feels uncomfortable, but it really is not something bad or difficult or hard. So when you go throughout your day and you start to feel slightly uncomfortable, that's a good sign. It means that your state is actually changing. When you are asking and going throughout your day, basically pretending as if your specific person can see everything you're doing, and think about your thoughts too. Imagine if your specific person could also hear your thoughts. What would you think that would relate or put you in abundance or in connection to your end state? And then you'll see that your thoughts, beliefs, and actions change basically instantaneously. And let me not just say this, let me give you an example of someone who tried this out in a coaching. I got this message today. They were trying out basically the same concept, and they're seeing results. So I'll put the message up on the screen. They basically messaged me from our coaching. Kyle, tonight he messaged me. He released the block. This is how powerful we are. Thank you for the reminder. And let me give you a little background, because I know that sounds a little vague, but this person in their initial email coaching wrote that they no longer wanted to be trying. They wanted to just embody the state, right? That makes the most sense. Nobody wants to try in their manifestation because you can just be. They also noted that they usually put people on a pedestal, so they have their specific person on a pedestal. So even with all of that, and of course they were not in communication at that time, but even with all of that, and this was the first, they received one email from me in this coaching session, and this is the success that they are achieving. And this is why I talk about manifestation not needing necessarily a long time to work. You can decide and be this individual, but if it does take time to experience that uncomfortability, because that's the whole point of this process, that's okay. But just remember, when you're in a state of feeling uncomfortable from a previous state, that's actually something good and not something bad. So take this entire video as a warning. If you want to see change, if you want to experience something different, if you want to be true and honest with yourself, if you act this out and act as if your specific person is seeing everything you're doing, seeing all your thoughts, there's no way that you cannot act from the state. And it actually creates this sense of acting in accordance. So there's no way you can't embody or be the individual that already has it if you take this idea seriously. That's why I warn you, don't watch this. Do not act this out if you don't want your specific person obsessed, because at this point in time, your mind, your belief system, and in accordance or connecting to the previous state will have no excuse to act single, or think that you can't create the outcome that you want. There would be literally no opportunity for your mind to think that. Thus, you must think from the end, and thus you must have exactly what you desire. If you did have any questions on this, make sure to comment them in the comment section below, because I want to hear all of the updates you have from acting this out, because all it takes is one day. You doing this for one day, you will notice a massive difference in every single thing that you're doing, all of your thoughts and all of your beliefs, and you will see just wait and see. Don't take my word for it. Act it out and then use this success story basically as support to believe it and do it yourself. If you did have any questions that you didn't want to comment below, make sure to reach out to me on my website at kyleaugustcoaching.com. That's where you can reach me personally. If you wanted to, again, send me your successes or send me your questions, or if you had worries about how to act this out, definitely reach out to me. Thank you again so much for stopping by today. Thank you for trying this out. Do me a favor and act this out so you can be a success, and you can comment on this video with the success, and then you can be in my next video as that success. I'll see you in my next video tomorrow when your entire reality changes.